Matthew Chance, just stand by. We're joined now by CNN military analyst, retired Lieutenant General Mark Hurtling. Mark, as we just heard from Matthew Chance, despite the fact that Russia is going to pull out the main part of its military, it will keep an air base still in operation and its main port. So how much of a reduction can we expect that we'll see from the Russian and their role in Syria?
That's what's interesting and what we need to watch in the next few days, Lynda. You know, Mr. Putin has said that he will start withdrawing tomorrow, Tuesday, and he doesn't say how much he will withdraw. He will certainly maintain interest in Latakia and Tartus, the two bases he has there. And in fact, many of us believe that's one of the main reasons he went there in the first place. But as Matthew just said, he is declaring victory. He has basically said, we have reached our objectives. We are now pulling out. And what's implied there is we are not going to get bogged down. Although Minister Lavrov said this morning, it's now up to the Syrian government to decide which direction they will take. Will they become a federated state? Will they become unified again? Will they break up and dissolve? All those things, basically, Mr. Putin is saying this is up to Mr. Assad to determine. So again, I agree with Matthew. He will maintain the capability to continue to conduct military operations to defend those two bases. But at the same time, he's gaining a huge propaganda victory, not only with his own people, but the people in Europe as well that are seeing him as somewhat becoming a rational actor. But again, this is all messaging right now. Let's see what really happens.
That's right. I mean, could we expect that should the Assad troops start losing territory, that Russia will increase its involvement in Syria?
Well, that's what I think a lot of the military analysts will continue to watch. Matthew said it perfectly. He has gained significantly, Mr. Putin has gained significantly in helping Mr. Assad. He's gained a better relationship with not only the Syrian government, but the Iranian, the Iraqi, and to a lesser degree, some of the other governments in the area, saying this is a guy who knows what his Middle East strategy is. He comes in, he conducts operations, and then he gets out. He doesn't get bogged down like the United States did in the Middle East. So that will be the message that he will try and portray. At the same time, he's given an ally the assistance he needed to come back from the brink of disaster. Mr. Assad is in much better condition today than he was 6 months ago, when many people around the world thought he was about to declare a failed state and give up his power. But you can't leave off some of the things that have been happening in Geneva. Stefan de Mistura has been masterful in pulling the various prime ministers and defense and ministers of the interior together to discuss this issue and to get back on the right track, probably due more than anything else to the humanitarian disaster that's going on in Syria right now. So we'll see within the next coming day, will Russia completely withdraw? I doubt that seriously. Will they withdraw a majority of the forces? I also doubt that. They will keep a significant presence in Syria and leave it back to Mr. Assad to determine what comes next.
Yeah, you mentioned obviously the UN Special Envoy to Syria. He said that there is no plan B other than a return to war. So there must be a lot of hope right now at those peace talks in Geneva.
What's been interesting, too, over the last several months, Russia has hosted several of the warring factions of the rebel groups to try and determine a peace process and a move forward. And I think based on my experience in the Middle East, he's probably seen that the rebels can't come together on what they want to move forward with in Syria. And it's counterproductive to what Mr. Assad wants to do as a remaining leader of a state that's plagued with all this turmoil. So I think Russia has seen this is an extremely challenging situation. There is no easy solution, to be sure, and even the complex solutions are going to continue to cause war and crisis in this area. All the while, again, NATO is dealing with the refugee crisis coming out of Syria, and the Syrian people themselves are undergoing this huge humanitarian crisis, where recent estimates said that up to 500,000 have been killed in this fight.
It was interesting to note over the weekend that when the US Secretary of State met with a lot of European leaders, there was no counterpart there from Russia. Yet he has spent a lot of time talking to his Russian counterpart in private conversations, Sergei Lavrov on the phone. Do you think the US was aware of this before Russia made this announcement?
I doubt seriously. I'm sure there may have been some indicators that these kind of moves were going to take place. And I'm sure Mr. Kerry and Mr. Lavrov have been speaking over the last few days. But hearing a reporter say earlier, Claire saying that she was godsmacked by this, that's the same basically the same reaction I had. This was a complete surprise to have an announcement made on Tuesday for the start of withdrawal of forces, or, I'm sorry, an announcement made on Monday for a start of withdrawal of forces on Tuesday without any repercussions regarding Mr. Assad or the Syrian people discussed as part of that. And have it not be announced by the United Nations seems to be a very surprising way of doing diplomacy.
To have your perspective, as always, Retired Lieutenant Mark Hurtling. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lynn.